All right, hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Rithmm Rundown with myself, Josh Applebaum, and my buddy Cade Harper. And Cade, this is a special one here because we got our feet wet with the NFL playoffs wild card weekend last weekend in last week's stream. Now we get to take it to another level here, talk about the divisional round. So we're down to the Elite Eight. We got the Final Four in both conferences. And what better way to approach this than let's just go game by game, Cade. So I'm excited to break down all these matchups with you from a betting perspective, whether it's a market-based perspective or like you do a great job setting your own numbers. And both of us look to go off of Rithmm and what Rithmm is recommending to us. So we're going to talk Buffalo, Denver. That's your 4:30 game on Saturday, your 8 o'clock San Fran, Seattle, which has been moving. So yeah, we'll talk about that one. Houston and New England, 3 o'clock on Sunday. That means a lot to me, Cade. I'm a Patriots fan, but do I bet against the Pats or do I kind of take the Pats here? Well, stay tuned for that. And then the one that I'm really excited about is Rams in Chicago. It's going to be very cold, very windy. Could have some snow there. They're also saying the Patriots game could have some snow as well. So we're in for just a massive weekend of NFL betting. And then also, we got to talk about the national championship game, Cade, because you, my friend, are sitting in a pretty good spot. You have that Miami futures ticket. So I'm going to ask you whether you're going to let it ride or hedge in this one. But we do have Miami and Indiana coming up here for the national championship. What is that, on Monday? And we're all the way up to 8.5. That line open at 7. So the numbers moving here toward Indiana. We'll get into it. Do you want to go with that move, or do we want to kind of sell high on Indiana and take Miami in the points? So excited to break those games down with you. But Cade, as you get ready to share the screen and dive right into the Rithmm app, how you doing, man? How was your first weekend of the NFL postseason? And by the way, you're crushing college hoops, man, for those of you who follow you on Twitter. So I know we had Texas come through for both of us last night. That was a nice hit. But how you doing, buddy? And welcome into another edition of the Rithmm Rundown.
Yeah, you said I'm crushing hoops right now, but actually the last week it's been really rough. So conference play's been having our number lately. But yeah, I mean, we're back here, you know what I mean? And got another playoff weekend, got a national championship weekend. It's going to be a phenomenal weekend all the way around. I'm fired up. Got this stupid ear infection that's bothering the crap out of me. But I mean, outside of that, I'd say we're doing pretty good. So
you're fighting through the pain, man. Good for you.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Have you gone to the doctor? Do you get any meds? Like, what's the deal? Are you just going to fight through this, or what's going on?
I've had them so much as a kid and just now. So it doesn't even buzz anymore. It just feels like I'm underwater, and yeah, you just deal with it. It goes away after a couple of heavy blows. You know what I mean? Get the gun. You'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this will be your Michael Jordan, flu
game. How about that
tonight? So
how about that? Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll bring us some good luck here. But yeah, before we dive in all these games, just always want to mention, the great stuff happening at Rithmm. Big thing right now, Cade, is this parlay builder. So if you are new to Rithmm, if you love to bet parlays, I'm a person who I always try to mention this because, people will be like, what are you doing talking parlays now? You don't like parlays. And I always try to say, parlays, you got to be selective. So the good thing about this new parlay builder in the tutorial and the walkthrough is that we know people love betting parlays, but at least if you're going to bet parlays, approach them from a data-driven strategic approach here. So what Rithmm is going to do is help you to pick which legs to choose, and you can run through, you can, tap in all your bets and then see what Rithmm has to say. So the parlay builder is this awesome new feature. I recommend everyone to check it out if you're a parlay bettor. And then also we just wanted to mention that, we always have these great tutorials for everybody. So I know Rithmm, at first can be a little bit overwhelming just because there's all these games, all these numbers. What do I do? Well, these tutorials are going to help you to decide what to bet, how to interpret the data, and how to make smart bets. So always want to guide people in that direction. And then, of course, we have all these incentives for new bettors. If you want to open up a new account, Cade, you and I always say, don't just bet through one account, have multiple outs so you can find the best price. There's a couple games I want to talk about where the hook is really important. So you got to find that book getting you the hook versus a book that's maybe just, flat on a regular number. But then also we have our Rithmm Discord. So if you want to, butt heads or, put your heads together with other sharp Rithmm users, that is always available to you as well. And we do have our refer a friend as always. So you can, recommend it to somebody that you might think could enjoy Rithmm. Maybe you've seen the value of Rithmm, whether it's betting it, on your own or watching some of these live streams, picking up a tip or two. But if you click refer a friend or refer and earn, you're both going to get a little sweetener. So make sure you give Rithmm a 5-star review in the App Store, recommend it to a friend. and let's get everybody making sharp data-driven bets. So, Cade, with that being said, man, let's just go game by game. To me, this is the fun part when you get to the postseason, because it's not like an NFL Sunday where you and I are looking at, 14 games, a Thursday nighter, a Sunday nighter, a Monday nighter. Like, we have basically these selected few games to get down on. So in a way, it makes, I'm not going to say it's easier, but it just allows you to really focus exclusively on each game individually. So let's start off with the Bills and the Denver Broncos. Now, this is your early game coming up on Saturday, your 4:30 game. And it's interesting to me the way that this line is kind of hung around a pick, and it's gone, both sides have been favored at different points. When this line opened, we saw a lot of books open Buffalo Bills around a 1 or 1.5 point favorite. We have since seen this number flip to Broncos -1, -1.5. So my first indicator here, Cade, is dog to fave line move on the Broncos. I got to respect that. Number two, the public is on Buffalo. And again, Buffalo made me cry over the weekend, Cade, because I got +1.5 with the Jags. Jags close -1.5. Jags have a lead late. Jags blow it. So I think the public right now, 60% of tickets going with the Bills are just saying Josh Allen is Superman, and I'm not going to bet against Josh Allen. And I respect that, because Allen really is incredible. And you saw him get banged up, hit a million times, and just, kept chugging along and led his team to victory. I'm going to go Denver money line here, though, Cade. My angle is dog to fave line move on Denver, public's on Buffalo, so I can simultaneously be against the public by taking Denver and with the sharp line move. Then you get into some other factors here, like as great as Josh Allen is, this is the second straight road game. That's tough. And your second straight road game at Mile High. Not a huge, I'm not going to say these guys are massive, but there were two big wide receiver injuries for Buffalo. Gabe Davis, who again is not the Gabe Davis when he had, 4 touchdowns against Kansas City a few years ago. But he tore his ACL, and Tyrell Shavers, I believe, tore his ACL. And he's a special teamer. He's one of those guys that you and I like, over 8.5 receiving yards. He seems to get you at least one catch every game. So you got injuries to Buffalo. You have Denver rested off a bye. So rest advantage, Buffalo second straight road game, public's Buffalo, but line is going to Denver. And then if we look at what Rithmm is recommending on the spread, it's a little murky, because one Rithmm recommendation is Broncos -0.7. Another recommendation is take the Bills +1.5. I think if you want to tease the Bills, 1.5 to 7.5, that could be worth a look. But this has Bills slightly favored. And then third model has Broncos -1.2. But always look at the money line recommendations here, Cade, because I'm seeing the only, in terms of the side, recommended green star play on the Broncos money line. So of all the plays, there are some conflicts here, but your highest graded play from a Rithmm perspective is on Denver money line. And if you're giving me, again, Mile High advantage at home, rested to go, Denver second straight road game, banged up receiving core, I'm going to take the Broncos at what feels like a pretty cheap price at home. So I money line Denver in the spot. But Cade, walk me through how you're seeing this this first game of the weekend here.
This first game is phenomenal. I love every aspect of it. The fact that I was kind of crazy about is that the 1 seed is a home dog. Kind of opened my eyes a little bit. So I kind of had to rethink a little some things. I saw. I'm not playing it, or sorry, I am playing it. I have a teaser for this one, which is like you mentioned. I teased Denver up to 7.5. I felt like that was safest option. Looking at Denver's history at home, they play very, very well when they're comfortable in their home stadium, as does pretty much anybody in this league. I can't see a blowout happening. The line tells us everything we need to know. The market's expecting super close. I like the Bills or the Broncos in a 1 possession game. Not necessarily felt ideal taking them at like a short money line. But like I said, so I could care less win or lose. Obviously, I root for the win for you. But I mean, I love fading these super public branded teams like the Bills, like the Eagles, like the Chiefs, like we've talked about all season long. This is the perfect spot for that. And obviously, the public perception feeds into it. The model feeds into it. And then again, if the stars are aligning, why is it not already on our slip? It kind of thing. So I felt safer taking a teaser just because of the models we're kind of leaning towards, because mine were similar to yours. They actually were kind of highlighting Buffalo in this case. But I just don't know if I like the fact of Buffalo in the spot period. I mean, there's like so much that's been wrong with them all year, where they're the biggest weakness is their rushing defense. You have Bo Nix, who has pretty much, when it matters most, the kid uses his feet, and it's like the best thing that he pretty much offers. Like, honestly, I like him on the ground and mobile almost more than I like him throwing the ball. Like, defense, they allow 6.5 yards per carry to quarterbacks. It's the fourth most QB rushing yards overall. So I don't know if there's any props on specific on him necessarily, but we'll get into that obviously. But I'm not that I'm saying he's the better mobile QB, but we know Denver's defense, second to none, top 5, maybe top 3 in the league right now. Bills, not so much. Talented offense, talented defense on both sides. I'm going to take Denver here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Cade. And again, the other thing I'm looking at, like rest versus tired, is if you remember, and these are the little nitty gritty things that at least you want to be aware of that gets me a little more excited. Not only is Denver coming off a bye, but remember the Bills played on the road on Sunday. So this game is on Saturday, your early Saturday game. That's just making it a little more difficult here with that quick turnaround to pull off 2 huge road wins. I mean, you don't really see that too often. If anyone can do it, it's probably Josh Allen. But the fact that this line has flipped dog to fave toward Broncos, and I really like that Rithmm is recommending the money line because, again, this is like it was about split it down the middle. It's about a pick'em game when you think about it because both teams have been favored by a point and a half. If this happens to be a 1-point win by Denver and you lay a 1 and you push, or you lay a 1.5 and you lose, man, that would be really difficult for me to stomach. So I like the fact that Rithmm is saying, again, protect yourself. It's not too expensive, minus 115 or so. That feels like a very palatable number here to back Denver just to win this game. Kate, I wanted to ask you just about the total because I have seen it tick down a little bit. I mean, you had a bunch of shops open around 47. You're down to 46-ish. I see a couple of books at 45.5. It's a little bit notable to me just because we all know how great of a defensive team the Broncos are. It's not a huge contrarian play. Like right now at DraftKings, only about 55% of bets are going over. However, it has dropped. And again, Denver and the weather, you got to kind of be aware of what's going on there. As of now, Cade, it looks to me from my source, clear skies, mid to high 30s, only about 5-mile-per-hour winds. But do we see one of these 20 to 17 games, 23 to 20? I mean, think about all the scores in your head that could lead you to an under. And we have seen so far in the postseason, unders went 4-2 in the wild card weekend. They're now 56% since 2017. And when the total falls at least a half point in a playoff game, the under's 2-1 this year. It's 57% since 2017. Then we get to our Rithmm models. All 3 are on the under. So first model is a 45.3. Second model is a green star, 40.8. I mean, it's rare you see a 6-point difference, 5 or 6 point difference in a playoff game like this. And third model is 44.5. So, Kate, any thoughts on this total? Do you agree with this move toward the under? Do you think there's still value here to go under? I think there was one book, and shout out to Rithmm again for their new bet sync and giving you the options, but you can actually get 46.5. You can get the hook right now at FanDuel under minus 120.
I did like the under. I might add it just as a full play because for teasers I don't really like to play them so full just because I've already how juiced that they kind of like to be. So the under might end up being a full play for me, honestly, in this one. I just don't see, specifically on the Bills side, I don't see how they hit 24. I think that would be I think that would technically be their key number to hit in order to win, whatever, or not win, but hit their team total. I don't see it. But then I go on the other side, obviously. Broncos are down J.K. Dobbins. Since that game, they are 25th in rush EPA. Harvey is not necessarily bad, but he only is putting up 3.4 yards a carry right now currently. And I know we talked about Bo Nix on the ground, phenomenal runner, great mobile QB. But again, through the air, Bills are actually, it's like the one thing that they are good at. So they hold teams to 160 passing yards a game on 5 yards per attempt. So And then again, going back to Buffalo side again, Denver's best secondary in the NFL, pretty much, I would say so. You look at this depleted wide receiver core. Who in the heck is getting the ball on Buffalo side? Like, are you just going to run it with Josh Allen all game? Or are you going to just use a screen with James Cook all game? Like, how do they move the ball? Honestly, I do like the under. I might feel safer. And this is like one of those like cool things that I like to use with Rithmm because I'm a team total guy. I love my team totals. I like Bills team total under if you can find like a 23 or and a half or better. But again, with a model that's giving a 6-point edge, that's hard not to like at least a little bit. So it's definitely on my radar this week. So I might look into that one a little bit more. But overall, yeah, full lean.
Right there with you. Yeah. Again, you think about, how are they going to move the ball? And that's why I want to get to some of these player props here, Cade, because there were a couple that jumped out to me. Now, the one in terms of rushing yards, it may surprise you. Cade, I know you have cashed some tickets on this guy, and he's not a household name, but Mr. Jaleel McLaughlin. Now, I must admit right off the bat, if you remember like the Belichick days, he would always annoy fantasy owners because you really didn't know like which running back was going to get the carries, and it was a random guy this time, someone you wouldn't expect, someone you thought would go off, only got 2 carries. So I will caveat it by saying Sean Payton's kind of like that to me, where you don't really know who's going to get most of the carries, and I think it's kind of an advantage, but not great if you're going to bet some player props. Well, that being said, McLaughlin, right now in the market, Kate, he's only sitting at 21.5 rushing yards. He is juiced up a little bit, minus 114. So again, that's an indicator to me that maybe there is some money going over this number because the books are charging you a more expensive price. But he's predicted 29.7. So he's sitting 21.5. Rithmm is saying it should be about 30. That's a 9.5 yard edge there. And if you think of, ripping off, 3-4 runs, 4 yards a carry, 5 yards a carry, he could go over this number. We look at his trends, and there's a lot to like about how he's trended recently. He had 41 yards in that last game against the Chargers, 40 against KC, 37. I mean, going into the postseason, especially a running back off a bye who's rested, he's gotten some carries. He's gone pretty much double this number, and now he's ready to go and rested with a Bills team that, what do you always hear about, Cade? They're not very good run defense. They're great pass defense. Is this a guy who could get some carries and go over this number? I like this McLaughlin over. What do you think about this one?
I like the looks of it, especially with the trends of hitting that high of numbers. The one thing about the Buffalo's team is that they don't really typically do well against running backs, period. Like I said, their weakness is against running the ball. So anything that's highlighting the other team of running the ball, I'm all ears for immediately. So if Rhythm's given a green star as far as a running back that's facing the Bills that said weak, done deal, it's there.
Well, let's see if any of these other guys interest you. You mentioned Bo Nix, 22.5. He's sitting 25.8. Maybe he goes over this number, but Rithmm isn't too bullish on that one. The one that I was kind of interested in, because let's think of it from just the perspective of who's going to get these targets when it comes to the Bills. Shavers is out. Gabe Davis is out. So who does that leave you with? One guy who's really flashed here is Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks has been pretty decent here. Picked up late in the season off waivers. Now he's over 2.5 catches, predicted 3. This would be a caution flag type play. But I did notice if you go to receiving yards, if I can pop that up here, he is 27.5, expected 41.6. So Cooks is a guy, little guy, super quick. He's been really good on these deep balls. My question is, Surtain, who does he guard? Is it Keon Coleman? Is it Cooks? Is it Khalil Shakir, who's been awesome and really lit it up last week as well? I would love if this was a Green Star recommended play, but I think you could make a case that Brandon Cooks theoretically could get you 1 catch for 28 yards and go over this number. I mean, look at this. He died and went to heaven here, Cade. Who was he on before? Was it Dallas or who was he on?
It was Dallas.
Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Comes and joins Josh Allen, 100-yard game, 58-yard game. Again, not a guy who's going to get a lot of love, but a guy who could theoretically go over that number at a decent rate. And then the other one that I was looking at, where is it at? Shakir. He is also a caution flag, but again, I got to know who's going to cover him. But Shakir's a guy who just gets a ton of targets. If you're going to take away 2 other receivers, does Josh Allen just really lean on Shakir here? I mean, he's predicted from a rhythm perspective around 68 yards. He's sitting 52.5. So that's a decent 16-yard edge. Any of these jump out to you, Cade, or anyone you want me to look up for you? I think as of now, McLaughlin might be my favorite one, but maybe we can take advantage of fewer guys who are going to get the ball. Therefore, we target them on Buffalo.
Buffalo's offense, specifically just Joe Brady's scheme. He's one of those guys that likes these underlying throws. So like check down guy, quick routes, slants, drags, flats. He likes to get the tight ends involved, which I expect to obviously see a lot of that. But guys like Shakir, your super quick slot guy, Keon Coleman is a jump ball kind of guy, but you don't think that they transition him into kind of that quick slot guy, just quick slant catch, 8 yards, whatever. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. If they can just get the ball to the receivers, I think they have no problem hitting the number. I'm only worried about the fact of actually getting the ball to the receivers because the secondary is so good. I just don't know if Buffalo has that guy. They don't have that Stephon Diggs anymore to just separate and create that much separation between guys like these. The discrepancy-wise part of it screams a lot. So like I said, if they do hit these underlying throws, you're basically hoping for a lot of yards after catch, which I like the thought of because all of these guys are shifty. They're young. I mean, they're scrappy. You know what I mean? That's how they've made it this far. They don't have that key guy, whatever. They just have Josh Allen. You know what I mean? But they're very good after the catch. They're very shifty. So I like that aspect of it. I'm curious before we RSD Troutman, what was like Dawson Knox and Kincaid's recommendations at, if they had any? Did they have any?
Let's check it out. So Knox is sitting at 21.5. He's predicted 26.9. So a little bit of an edge there. He has gone over this number pretty consistently. And then Kincaid, he's kind of right on the number, 35.5, predicted 37.6.
Keep a note.
I like where your head's at going to the tight ends.
Nugget for the people there, but Broncos, they do allow the 9th most receiving yards to tight ends per game, 60.7 to be exact, between total. So fairly, I don't want to say shorter because I mean that's not necessarily. That is a good amount, but again, it goes back to who they're throwing to. I think that is funny though, because all of their lines are pretty similar in a way. So either somebody's going to soar over and the rest are going flat under, or they're all going to be pretty consistent around their lines. So it's really hard to predict what this offense is going to do.
And it is hard too, because again, we want these green stars, and a lot of these are some caution flags. I'll just mention, it's when I was looking at it when you were talking, just Troutman. This is one of the guys where it's a really low number. It's single digits. 8-yard catch could go over. Rhythm's predicting 16 yards. All he needs is 8, and a lot of green here. And Troutman's one of those guys who I believe he was with the Saints, right, with Peyton, and he's kind of just been a guy that maybe Peyton really trusts and has gone over this number quite a bit. So Troutman's a guy that, again, 1 8-yard catch could win you this bet, and those are the bets we love when it comes to the postseason in particular. Let's keep on cruising here, Kay. Let's go to the next game. Big one here, obviously, San Fran and Seattle. So we're going to dial up this game here and talk about it. This one's intriguing to me because, a lot of these books opened, and remember, we have Seattle as your 1 seed coming off the bye. A lot of these books, though, were opening 7.5. We were sitting 7.5, minus 7.5 with Seattle for pretty much all week. And over the last 24 hours, Cade, a lot of those hooks are starting to evaporate. You really don't see a lot of 7.5s anymore. They're getting down to 7. That's really important to me because it's a key number. There's a lot of money that the books could make or lose based upon allowing, giving the hook out there or taking it away. I did read that there was a report, Sam Darnold popped up on the injury report with an oblique. That could be nothing. Maybe it's something. Don't really know. But what I like about San Fran is they're a divisional dog. It's kind of rare you get a divisional dog in a postseason matchup. Again, remember, we talked about it all year long. Divisional dogs cover about 3 to 4% more often than a non-divisional dog. You also have a little bit of a revenge angle where, Cade, you and I, remember we did the Seattle-San Fran game in the last week of the regular season. where again, the winner was going to get that 1 seed. You and I believe both cashed on Seattle in that game.
Yep.
And that under was like a dead beat under the whole time. But man, this could be a situation where divisional dog, the 7.5s are getting down to 7. I have a lot of systems on San Francisco. Playoff dog who missed the playoffs the previous season. That's 3-0 against the spread so far this year. That's 71% since 2020. Primetime dog. This is an 8:00 game. You also have what is it? Playoff dog. Both missed the postseason the previous year. That's a nearly 80% system since 2017. And then when we dig into these rhythm recommendations, first thing we notice, all of them are on San Fran. First one is Niners getting only 3.1. Second one, Niners plus 0.8, getting like a point. And then the one we really like is a Green Star recommended play, Niners plus 3.3. So I jumped on the 7.5 yesterday because I started to see the 7.5s get down to 7. A lot of the plus 7.5s are really juiced minus 115, minus 120. And I said, I want to get that hook before it gets away from me. So I like Niners 7.5. Again, you could wait to see if it comes back up. We do have at least, one book offering the hook here. Maybe you could, I don't want to buy it up too much, but if you're at a book that's like plus 7 at plus 100 and you can get it to 7.5 at minus 120 or less, there could be a case to be made there. Cade, walk me through this one. Can the Niners cover this number at Seattle?
This is the second part of my teaser, and I fear that I might have messed up. Okay. Hand up accountability on my part, right? Seahawks were a part of my second one where I basically did the long tease and teased them down to -1. I think is what that is. So yeah, you had Denver at plus 7.5, Seattle at -1. I, honest to God, after thinking it over and doing a lot more digging, there is a serious chance Seattle loses this game. And I am like biting my fingernails off, like literally. First of all, this 49ers team, you cannot count them out at any point whatsoever. I don't care about any injury. I don't care about any number, any data, whatever. Robert Saleh and Shanahan together are like, I'm trying to think of like some crazy coaching duo from like the 80s and the 70s back then, but I'm blanking. But I mean, they're as good as it gets when they're together. And there's a reason they were my first Super Bowl pick at the very beginning of the year. Caster win total, easiest win total ever. So, I mean, I have a Super Bowl ticket in line for the Niners, which I guess this is sort of kind of a hedge in a way. But again, they are unreal. You have literally, what is it now? They're down Fred Warner. They're down Bosa. Ayuk is I don't know, whatever. Like, Sam Darnold, this is his second playoff game. And you guys remember how that first game went. We're favoring the Seahawks a whole touchdown given on how this entire first game went literally 2 weeks ago, maybe less. Unreal. I wish I would have just had a clear thought process before I hit the number, because I just saw 7 and I'm like, oh, easy, tease it down, automatic win, and just get out. No, I'm frightened for my life right now. And honestly, I mean, I don't have to. I want to just play 49ers spread small to basically cancel out the teaser at a way, just because the way that it's been at a 7, again, like you said, every single system, every single number is highlighting them right now. Nonetheless, I'm afraid I have too much on this game because I'm also having a play in the total and then also have a prop. And I'm just really stuck on where to go from here, because I've done it to myself now. I've really done it now. So,
Well, talk to me about the total, man. What are you doing?
I'm on the under. I love the under in this spot. I was on the under the first time. I'm running it back again. I still think it was the right side. Usually, this is honestly kind of funny because in the divisional rounds, I like overs, honestly, because Shanahan, mastermind with a play sheet, right? Dude puts up points in the most critical moments and he just murders every under that's out there. It doesn't even matter. But again, I'm going back to this game that was 2 weeks ago. What was the final of that? Was it 13-3, whatever it was? I mean, it's that's not necessarily something that just happens. I mean, that's what went into the cap behind it, San Francisco, they didn't really exactly move the ball. Obviously, they had 3 points. That's like, I saw something on Twitter. It was like the lowest amount of like points and yards in like Shanahan's career or something like that. Hard to even believe, hard to fathom, because like that's how good that this guy is, honestly. And they were shut down. I mean, Seattle's defense again. Now that unit, that's the best in the league. I think that they are number one in DVOA still. Which another same thing I'm hitting on. It's the same handicap. I mean, both against the run and the pass, they're elite. Trenches, they're elite. Middle of the field, elite. Nothing fools them. Play action, under center. I mean, like you pull out any scheme that Shanahan has, McDonald and the company, like they're behind it. Like they are on it, like stink on poop. It's nuts, right? You lose George Kittle. Trent Williams, I believe, is still questionable, if I'm not mistaken. But I guess we can talk about Seattle's offense because they're not necessarily in the best spot either. Again, they put up 13. That's nothing to just – it's honestly a miracle that they won the game with putting up 13 points in a National Football League game. Honestly, when you're playing the Niners, yeah. But you went from crazy elite passing offense, right, with JSN, all these guys, and you have fallen into one of the league's best under teams. 13-4, as a matter of fact, in the last, 17. So yeah, I mean, like they've fallen in a drought themselves, and I mean, like, how can I not take it again? I mean, like we're here, we might as well just do it. So
I'm with you, man. The line movement and the splits do look good on the under, because when I asked you that, I'm like, hey, tell me about the total. I wasn't totally sure which side you were going on because Rithmm does have some conflicting recommendations here, like 45.1. That's a recommended under. Then there's a recommended over 46.8. Then a recommended under 45.8. So, unlike the total we were just talking about a second ago, Buffalo, Denver, where we had a 6-point discrepancy between the Vegas line and Rithmm, this is kind of right on it. I would lean to your side though, because it opened like 45.5. It's down to 45. It's juiced under. It might be going to 44.5. 60% bets, nearly 80% of the money at DraftKings is on the under. And then we do have our primetime under system match, outdoor playoff unders. They are 4-2 so far this year, 57% since 2017. Total falls at least a half point. Again, that's another system that is close to 56%. So I'm right there with you. I would lean under in this one. And I'm glad you mentioned Sam Darnold, because I got to give the guy props. He cashed one of my favorite bets of the entire year, Seahawks money line against the Rams. But if you remember in that game, he turned it over a couple times. Last year's postseason, he was terrible. I don't know, man. Maybe Seahawks roll here. Maybe the Niners, the clock strikes midnight. They become a pumpkin, but I'll go 7.5. I'll bet against Darnold. I like getting the hook there with San Fran. Talk to me about the props you had in this one, Kate. I'll just throw this one at you really quick, and then tell me the one that you like. But I noticed with receptions, Kenneth Walker. It's a recommended play over 1.5 catches, so he needs to get you 2 catches. It's really juiced up 178, which is a little expensive, but he's recommended over 1.5, predicted 2.5, and he's gone over this number quite a bit. He's consistently gotten you 2, 3, or 4 catches pretty much the entire season. If we isolate him specifically at home, last 2 he's gone over. You'll get his last 5, 2 of the last 5. So that doesn't look as good. But if you want to dump it off to Walker, I can't argue with this with a good Rithmm recommendation. But tell me what prop you're eyeing for this game.
It's funny you mentioned his receptions, because I didn't play it, but it was one that I kind of like circled in my notebook for now. But Kenneth Walker's receiving yards at 11.5 or 10.5, whatever it was originally. I like that one. I'm actually playing smaller on McCaffrey's over reception line, or over reception yards, receiving yards line. This one, I did get a good opener of the 49.5. So let me see here. So,
by the way, you're Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Over 13.5, predicted 21.6. So I'm with you. Good
I might just add that one just to be safe then. I'll rather take that at this point. I'll go with that. Let me see. I'm going to McCaffrey's basically filtering out games without Kittle. And Kittle's their guy, right? I mean, like, whenever you need a short yardage gain like that, that's the dude. And look at McCaffrey, whenever Kittle's not on there, I'm looking at multiple 50-plus yard games on that kind of end. I think you're going to see a lot of dumps to this guy. And in a game where they are like, this is like screaming passing script, right? Shanahan, pretty big playoff dog, got to move the ball through the air. You need your yards, you need your screens, you need everything that you can get, and you need your guy, and that's CMC. And Seattle absolutely torched by the pass catching running backs in this aspect. 27th in the league and receiving yards allowed to opposing running backs. Love the spot for him specifically where they need him most, and had 66 yards last week in the wild card round. So I like him against, especially in the pass rush where, I mean, you're going to have Seattle just running down your throat looking at you like that. I wouldn't want to hang on to the ball for more than 2 seconds. Give it to the quick speedster on the outside there. Let's see something. So I'm on his reception yards. I'm going to add Kenneth Walker now. I didn't realize that was that big of a discrepancy either. So, yeah, both running backs and receiving. How about that? Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, and it's not even a weather game, really. It looks like it's decent up in Seattle. But, yeah, I'm with you, especially when you get the hook. Give me the Niners in this one, and I'll root for your under, too. Now we get to the game that I'm excited to break down with you, Cade, because you'll get my perspective as a bettor. I'll give you some insight as a Patriots fan, and then I want your outside perspective here. But if we go to the Patriots game, if I can find it for you, we can scroll over and get to Texans-Pats. I'll tell you right off the bat, there's a big topic of conversation in New England right now about strength of schedule, because Patriots had the easiest strength of schedule, 32nd in the NFL. Texans, by the way, had the number 1 strength of schedule. And again, there's different metrics, but this is a pretty well regarded discrepancy here. So the question is, what's going to prove out? Are the Patriots a fraud? They got a great record, but they played nobody. Or do you have to take the points of the Texans because they're getting 3 points and they are battle tested, played a lot of really good teams? Cade, I'm going to do it not because I'm a fan of the Patriots, but because I like the angle. Again, you know me, I bet a lot of dogs. Dogs tend to bark. They were 4-2 against the spread in Wild Card Weekend. They've been really good historically. This is my one favorite of the weekend. I'm going Pats -3. And I'll tell you why.
There we go.
On the one hand, from a market perspective, this line has moved toward New England. New England opened at some shops -2.5, immediately got to 3. Books that open 3 are really juiced up -3, -115, -120. Like it's going to 3.5. I see one book that is at 3.5. So just from a respecting the line movement, it is going toward New England. The other thing I like about the Patriots spot is you would assume 14-3, Drake May, possible MVP at home, short number. It's going to be a really public play, right? Well, actually, it's not. This is why I like them even more. If you look at DraftKings right now, only 55% of spread bets are on the Pats, but it accounts for 75% of the spread dollars. So 55%, technically, dictionary would say that's a public side, but that's barely break even. I mean, that's just the slightest, tiniest little favoritism there. So again, if Patriots are getting like 80% of bets, this could be a different story for me. But you got low bets, higher dollars. You got liability and line movement toward New England in the spot. I think the schedule spot really is tough for the Texans because you're on a short week and you're playing your second straight road game versus a Patriots team playing their second straight playoff home game. They were at home in the last week of the regular season too. And, they're ready to go. So if you have one team, short week, second straight road game against home team, no travel, second or third straight home game, that's an angle that I think really benefits the Patriots. I love this Texans defense. I got to respect them. Maybe this is an underplay, but big injury situation is no Nico Collins. It looks like he's not going to play. He's in the concussion protocol. He hasn't practiced. Who knows? Maybe he plays, but as of now, it looks like your best receiver is not going to play. On the other hand, Christian Gonzalez had a concussion issue. He's been cleared. He practiced fully today. So Collins out, Gonzalez in, movement liability toward New England, rest advantage, and then we look at these models, Pats -4.5. This Texans model is Texans plus 3.6, but flip it. That's Pats minus 3.6. But the one that I really like, Green Star recommended, Pats minus 4.8. So talk to me, man. Am I viewing this game too, Patriots colored glasses here, or what do you think? Is this a game where Texans defense is elite, take the points, or are you with me here, New England minus
I'm
3?
so happy that we're actually on a favorite together for once. I moneylined them yesterday for minus 170. Yeah, I got minus 170 on DraftKings. So I'm paying for a little bit. My models green starred them had like a parlay piece that will feature on the money line, but the green stars for the spreads, they weren't there, and the models were saying like twos, and I was seeing some twos on my end with power ratings and stuff, and I was just like, I just feel safer paying a little bit extra, sacrificing the few cents, and just winning the game. Digging into it a little bit more, like you had mentioned, Nico Collins, Gonzo, they pretty much kind of butt heads, right? They cancel each other out at that point because number one wide receiver, number one corner, done deal. It's pretty much like a clean slate after that. It's not necessarily edge this way, edge that way. Except the combination. You have New England, cold weather, outdoor, scrappy team, home atmosphere. Team hasn't been here in a decent amount of time. Houston, warm weather, dome team, quarterback who is not proven in its kind of conditions whatsoever. And I'm not even confident in him in any game because he played the worst half of football in the history of the league last week, and they won by 30, whatever that was. That's another reason. Tomlin dog systems are over. I'm sad. I don't want to talk about it. Whatever.
I'm with you, man. Just all those turnovers, and they couldn't do anything with it. That was so frustrating.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 of them, and it was unbelievable. But I digress. Houston, great defense, fantastic. But I don't know how you're moving the ball in this New England defense now, especially on the road. I'm looking into DeMeco Ryans. That guy cannot win a divisional round playoff game. Like, look at last year, didn't do it. If I'm not mistaken, the year before that, they also divisional round, if I'm not mistaken again. I moneyline the Pats. Also have a slightly different play on the total aspect, which we'll get into. But yeah, like I said, full on play. I'm all in with it. I'm taking the Pats to just win the game at the money line. But in your case, let's just win by 3 or obviously 3+.
Yeah, that would be nice. Tell me about the total, though, because it sounded to me like, ooh, great defenses go under, but were you thinking over here? Because Rithmm is saying maybe the love for the under. And again, think of it from this perspective. People are watching ESPN all week. What do you hear? Texans defense. I mean, respectively so. They're amazing. But anytime the public narrative is, oh, it's going to be a low-scoring game, oftentimes it goes the other way, and it is a pretty low number. I do respect that it did fall a little bit. It was 41, I think, down to 40.5. But Rithmm is saying 41, 45.3. I mean, that's a big edge, and 41.5. So, again, you're going to need these teams to get into the 20s-ish. Can that happen, Cade? What's your play on the total?
We might have like a potential little snover on our hands maybe tonight, or not tonight.
You are hearing about it.
But yep. I'm liking it so far. But my total play wasn't exactly on a full game. Went to the first half. I did my best Brandon Wheaton impression here, and I did some alt lines, and I just laddered the heck out of it because, again, like I said last week, it's playoff football, man. We're just getting after it with it. Interesting everybody that is listening right now into an alternate under on the first half all the way down to 10. Stay with me now. Houston on the year. They are 7-1 to the first half unders on the road. That's just the road numbers. The road numbers are 7-1 to first half unders, 5-0 in the last 5. I didn't have any model prediction on first half. I don't know who has model projections on halves. If you do, reach out, I guess, because that's impressive as all get out, I guess. But simply put, I mean, like we might have the game script in line here because I think that you can see a super slow, scrappy start where teams are figuring out the ground movement on the first couple of drives, and then it's just going to be stall after stall after stall, and then Patriots take that second half and they just bye bye. You know what I mean? And they just run it up. I'm not necessarily scared because I'm looking at all of Houston games. I'm looking at all of Patriots games. What Patriots have done is that they have scored in their first halves. If I'm backing a defense like Houston's, I can trust a Houston defense because we know that they are good. But I'm not going to back a Houston offense in that kind of case. So then again, if you wanted to take like a Houston team total under in the first half, you can go for that. Overall, though, first half under, second half over, I think is like your ideal like game script in this case. But again, just for the value of it, I was getting under 14 and a half for plus 300 something. I mean, again, like the ladders are super small, so I'm putting like tens, teens on these just to even like win half units back or whatever like that. But again, that's just the ladder aspect of that. Because both my models like the over. I just don't know if these points come in the first half because these teams, if I'm looking at the weather and the weather's projected how it's supposed to be, it's supposed to just come down and come down quick. And like it's snow showers starting around 4 p.m. and so on and so forth with 42% participation. You have wind gust up to 17, wind chill. I mean, everything here is like early on in the game from what I'm like been looking at. So if that stuff just happens in the first half, I'm all for it, you know, and then it clears up by the second half and then we get a snowbird and everybody's happy, right? But I don't know. Different approach, different angle a little bit because I love the second half over aspect. I love the full game over aspect. I just think nothing comes in this first half personally. And it's very weird. It might not make sense to some, but with the trend of Houston in the first half unders and Patriots trends to first half unders, I'm all ears for it. So
No, it makes sense to me. I don't think it's too crazy. Again, you look at, I think it was the Chargers game, wasn't it 6-3 at
yeah.
halftime? I think it was pretty low scoring there. And what I wanted to mention too, and by the way, you mentioned, so I went Pats -3 green star. You got Pat's money line, also a green star. So it's good to see that Rithmm is supporting us there. I wanted to talk a little bit about Drake May rushing because even though it's not a recommended play here, Rhythm is actually recommending under. So he's sitting 35.5 under 33.6. That may kind of stop me from playing the Drake May because I don't like going up against directly what Rhythm is saying. But my thought is, you went against Rodgers last week, a guy who's old as dirt and cannot move at all. Now you're going up against Drake May, who's young, super quick, athletic. He ripped off that like 40-yard run against the Chargers last week. If these edge rushers get too deep and he's, kind of brings his way through the pocket and just takes off, that could be worth a look. Again, I don't like that Rhythm is saying not really supporting it, so maybe that's not going to happen. I was going to ask you if any of these props jump out to you. Like I'm also looking at some receiving yards, obviously with no Nico Collins. We got to look towards some of these Houston Texan guys, but Kayshon Boutte jumped out to me. Kayshon Boutte is sitting at 31.5 receiving yards. Rhythm's predicting 49.2. And if you're going to have Stingley, I would assume, I don't know who he's going to cover. Is he going to cover Diggs? He's a slot guy. Who's going to cover Boutte? But Boutte's had a really good deep ball connection with Drake May, really since Drake May became the starter last year. He did it again last week where he had that one deep pass. He ended up with 66 yards overall. He's been pretty good with those deep passes like back shoulders. And Boutte's a guy that, again, is not going to get a ton of love in the betting market from the public. So Boutte to the over jumped out to me. And then one of our classic, can he just get me one catch, Cade? Kyle Williams, over 4.5. That's nothing, man. 4.5. He's gone over this number quite a bit. Now he's giving you some zeros, so you got to be prepared that he might have one target, 0 catches, 0 yards. But I kind of like the Kyle Williams, especially if you're going to key on Diggs and Boutte and the tight ends. Maybe Kyle Williams could be worth a look. But any of these guys jump out to you, Kate, or anyone I should look at? Because I think we got some options here. Or might be muted, my guy.
I always do that, and I always click on my mouse, so I
All
know it
good.
sounds annoying to some people. So I try to mute in between. Whatever.
No worries.
Does Woody Marks have anything as far as a prediction or recommendation, anything like that? Or for
Let's
rushing,
see. For rushing, let's take a look.
or maybe even attempts if that at that point. Okay.
Lean under. Yeah, but caution flag.
I've seen it's not necessarily like a public prop, but it's like just stuff that I've like saw in the data aspect. Patriots, all I see. Yeah, here we go. I'm all about it.
Well, there we go. Is this the one you're looking
Love
for?
it. Yeah. Well, yeah. Patriots rushing defense. There it is. I don't even have to do the handicap now. Look at that. That's beautiful. Even money. Oh my god. Yeah.
Plus a 5.5 edge. That's pretty big for rush
Love it.
attempts.
I absolutely love it. So New England allows 3.8 yards per carry, right? And as far as this is kind of a tail in my example and kind of a thing, just because I did see it on somebody else. I forget who I saw. I apologize for whoever it is, but I wanted to look into it regardless. 2 running backs cleared the 50 mark in the last course of the 13 games of Milton Williams being active. So when Milton Williams is active, 2 running backs that faced against the Pats have only went across that number. Now, as attempts, completely different ball game. To go like less than that, love it. Smart signal, love it. If the yards are caution flag and you have the safer play there, maybe you can play smaller on both if you wanted to. But as far as getting a price like that for a smart signal with a projection like that, that's got to be your play. So I was originally looking at under yards. I might have to just add his under attempts now. So I'm all for it though. Why not? Yeah.
No, it makes total sense. That was a smart signal I was looking for because I remember seeing it pop up. Also, Kairos Tonga, he's a huge, defensive lineman for the Pats. He's practicing. Looks like he may play. So if you got Barmore, Milton Williams, Tonga, I know you want to be, quote unquote balanced, but are you going to bang your head against a brick wall? I don't know. Maybe that's a really good play there, especially with Rhythm's prediction. I was curious too. I want to look this up as we talk about it with Hunter Henry, because Hunter Henry's been really just trusted by Drake May.
Yeah.
And true story, Cade. Hunter Henry's wife and Drake May's wife are like best friends. So that one wife is telling the other, throw it to my husband here. That's the insight that you get from a Patriots fan. I don't know if I see. I guess I'm on rushing yards here. Receiving yards
in the backfield. You never know what Vrabel's got up his sleeve these days.
Yeah, maybe a little trick. I guess there's no edge. 39.5 projected 38.1. So
he has
scratch
been good
that.
though. But yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like this touchdown prop though. I think that was like around like plus 200 something. So I might sprinkle a little dabble on that just for the price of it. But yeah, he's always usually reliable though, and like the red zone period, just whenever you need something there. Yeah,
it makes sense to me. I like that one. All right, let's finish up, and then we got to talk about the national championship game here in a second. But Da Bears and the Rams. Cade, I can't wait to sweat this game. I must say, I don't want to get my favoritism here because as a data-driven bettor, I try to keep my bias at the door. But there's one team this year, I don't want to jinx them. They've been great to sweat, and they've come through many a time. It's the Chicago Bears. I like the Bears this weekend, man. I think if you can get a +4, that's really your best number. There are a few books at 4. You were -3.5 at most shops with the Rams. Some books are up to 4. It's coming back down to 3.5. But there's a couple angles here to like the Chicago Bears. First angle for me is we look at the weather because, again, we're talking about, what a crazy possible snowy, cold, windy game this is going to be at the Chicago Bears. Predictions here. I know Kevin Roth of Roto Grinders did a really good breakdown, as he always does, but 17 degrees, 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. You might get some snow. There's another stat flying around Twitter where Matthew Stafford in freezing temperatures with precipitation is like 1-9 straight up in his career. He went to Georgia. He went to Detroit, which was cold, but they're a dome team. Then he's in LA, another dome team. Bears, I think it's a weather advantage. They're used to this weather. They know how to deal with it. Rams, also second straight road game. Remember, they were a 10.5-point favorite at the Panthers, barely won that game. We were able to cash with that Rithmm recommendation on Panthers plus 10.5. Chicago Bears also matched quite a few systems. This would be a dog who missed the postseason the previous year, 3-0 against the spread this season, divisional round dog, playoff dog in general since 2017, 62%. But what I really like is, we've gone through a lot of these games, Cade, where like maybe there's a conflict, a recommendation team A and team B, or maybe they're all on team A, but they're caution flags. This one is the first that I've seen in terms of I believe, a spread smart signal recommendation all lining up in one direction, which is da Bears. So the Chicago Bears getting 3.5. Rhythm is predicting 2.5. One full 1 point edge, or 1.5 if you can find the 4. Bears at a pick'em. Caution flag, but a pick'em. Final model, which we love the most. Green Star Smart Signal, the best of the best Rhythm has to offer. Bears plus 1.7. So, Cade, they'll probably get down 14-0, but that's the way they play, and maybe they'll find a way to come back and win it. But the fact that you have Rams' second straight road game, you have Rams' warm weather dome team going into the frigid Midwestern night, and then you have all these recommendations saying Bears should be like only getting a point and a half, 2 points. I'm running as fast as I can. I already put in the +4. You can see down below with this bet sync that Caesars is offering a 4. Rivers is 4.5. I would jump on that 4 before it moves too much. I really like the Bears this weekend, but what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm with you. I grabbed the flat 4 as well. I was trying to find. Let me see if I can. But I mean, simply put, again, this team specifically has been undervalued literally all year long. Like every single game that they play in, they are pretty much counted out from the get-go because they are the Chicago Bears. Like they're not necessarily expected to win anything, but here we are putting, like, what do they call them? Call them the Cardiac Bears, I think is what like their name has pretty much been the last like 4 weeks now.
Yep.
I mean, like, again, we cashed our divisional winner with them, and like I'm more than ecstatic about that just because of how great it feels to be right on the Bears winning the division, because everybody calls you nuts after you place a bet like that. Usually, like, you're out of your mind. No way. But like their offense has been incredibly reliable. Caleb Williams is pretty much proving himself week in and week out that he pretty much does belong in the conversation for one of the better younger upcoming QBs in this league. And defensively is the only thing that I would, I guess, be worried about. But when they're healthy, I mean, they're as good as they can be. I mean, they're not necessarily like, what are the midway monsters in a way? Is that what they're thinking? I'm not really around like Chicago, but I know that's like what they kind of like to call themselves. It's like to win these games, like they're in some shootouts. You know what I mean? It's like they have to put up points. They have to halt points. The Rams, we know what they've done all year. I mean, they've racked it up. You know, like they're one of the better offenses in the league, pretty much right up there with Chicago. This is, I mean, maybe is this another Stover game? Maybe. I mean, I like the Bears at a very close game at the +4, but to like points in this game might not be a terrible idea. As far as like just a handicap kind of standpoint, it's got to be the Bears or nothing. I mean, like, of course, everybody and their mother is going to be on the favorite to win the Super Bowl. At a short line is this? Like, why is the line that? It speaks for itself. They're a good football team. I don't really like Matthew Stafford outdoors as well in weather like this. I think there's a system out there where in just cold weather games, even dating back to when he was with Detroit, those games in Green Bay specifically, he's just not been that profitable against the spread with teams when he's quarterbacking, or when he's a quarterback, whatever you want to call it.
I'm right there with you, man. Yeah, the weather, the Rithmm recommendation, the second straight road game, Bears having that magic that you can't really quantify. I mean, that throw as I'm sweating the Bears in the points, and Caleb Williams does the Air Jordan and makes that 4th and whatever. I mean, man, that's just incredible. So yeah, let's go Bears. Let's keep it rolling here. You mentioned the total. It definitely has fallen.
Yeah.
It was 51-ish. It's down to 48.5. Weather could be a big part of it. I'll still lean under. I just worry that, I'm kind of 2 points off the opener. I don't know if I'm getting the best of it. The other thing for me, Kate, is like if I feel like I have a good position, Bears +4, I don't want to force a total play. Like what if they win a lot of games by, 30-27, 27-24. So I'd hate to be happy that they cover and win for me, but then, lose my total bet. So I'm not going to play the total. But I wanted to ask you about some player props because we got a lot of opportunities here. It as you mentioned, it could be snowy. It's going to be really cold. It's going to be windy. But there are some opportunities here, like rushing yards. We have a green star smart signal here on DeAndre Swift. He's sitting at 54.5 in the betting market. Rhythm's predicting 70.8. Swift has really turned it on. I think he's been a really good pickup here. He's turned it on, but based on this number, he's gone under in 3 straight. In a way, you're kind of buying low. Like if he's running hot in the 50s or higher, this is probably closer to 60 yards or so. So Swift, to me, could make a lot of sense. The other one, I want to look at some of these pass catchers because I don't know about you, Cade, but like everyone on my Twitter timeline is talking about where's he at? We got to talk about DJ Moore here in a second. But Colston Loveland. Everyone is saying over Colston Loveland. And I'm like, that scares me when everyone is loving the guy. Like maybe he goes over, but I'm not touching him. He's under recommended play, sitting at 49.5. But here's a guy that we did cash a couple weeks ago. And again, they're still giving these low numbers. DJ Moore. Kate, I know we talked about this. Was it last week or the week before? Maybe it was last week. But he cashed that over, I think, pretty quickly in that game. I like this DJ Moore recommended over 28.5, predicted 56.6. Again, a guy who can catch the long ball, get you some intermediate passes. You look at his trends, it doesn't give you too much confidence because he's been kind of Jekyll and Hyde, but he's been really good at home. He's gone over this number at home 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his last 9. Again, it's been a different story away. He's been a little bit of a dry spell here. But if you're giving me a smart signal green star recommended over on DJ Moore, I'll ride it once again. I think he was 26.5 the last time. 28.5, give me the over there. Oh, any of these player props jump out to you?
It's so funny because, like, again, kind of going back to the total a little bit, like it's like whenever you back a dog, like you immediately kind of like think under because like you're pretty much rooting for them to pretty much just halt the favorite from scoring the most points, obviously. This is like the one team where it feels like every game that they cover in, the over is just like hitting. It's been really weird. It's been really weird for them. And that's kind of what the spot that I've caught myself in because Chicago home dog is actually decently profitable. You have, especially later in the year, very profitable system because then you add in the absolute wind tunnel of Soldier Field in the matter of fact. And like they just haven't been hitting this year. So I was like, okay, I think I'm just done playing Chicago with unders. I'm just going to play Chicago. We're just
right there with it.
I don't know what it's been. It's just been weird. But yeah, going on to the props. 28.5 for DJ Moore after literally giving him pretty much the same number. I think it was like 26.5 against that one. Was it Green Bay the last week that we went over it in the same smart signal and everything?
Yep.
Absolutely love it. They've been phenomenal through the air. Caleb is clearly building some sort of chemistry with him because they've been connecting a lot of the deeper throws. So like that aspect of it. And again, staying away from the super public people like you mentioned with Colston Loveland, super popular guy. But like again, I don't like going with the public and obviously stuff like that. And you're getting almost a 30-yard discrepancy on a receiver who is very capable of hitting way over that number. Absolutely love it. I like DJ Moore and Chicago to connect on some passing schemes in this game. Also, Caleb Williams over passing touchdowns I saw was a really, really well priced. I looked at this before we hopped in here because I liked it. It was plus money for him just to get 2 touchdowns. That's nuts to me.
Good call.
I love the value of it. He's like, they've been slinging it. Like, what are we doing with this line?
Yeah, look at that consistency. Yeah.
Like, I don't understand it. Yes, the Rams defense, phenomenal. Like, we know that. But this passing offense has so many weapons to pass to and to throw to. Like, I don't know if he's back or I haven't looked in this injury report yet. Is Odunze back or Odunze?
I think he played a little bit last week. He didn't do a ton. I remember he missed a pass on would have been a fourth down pickup. Parkinson, I feel like we got to mention just because
he's been profitable too.
He's been a few tickets.
We played him last week, and I honestly hit on the very last play, that game-winning touchdown too. But
yeah, that's right.
But yeah,
that was a great
I'm all with it.
Catch too. Yeah, he's been very consistent going over this number. Over 19.5, he's predicted 29.8. So again, almost a 10-yard edge there. Odunze, who you had mentioned, I'm not even going to mention Puka. He could go off, but I just feel like his number is just out of control, and it's like, it's like prime Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. Like, it's just always, he could get you 150, but
right.
Do I really want to bet a massively public number that's probably really inflated? No, I'm not really interested in that. So I will pass on that one.
There's so many touchdowns that I like this week. That's why I felt so weird about a total. But like, all these they're all just so priced, so weird to me. And yeah. So
Dunze is right on the number. Yeah. As you mentioned.
I figured he was playing. I just don't know how active he's going to be. But again, it just goes back. I mean, like, they have so many weapons of like where Caleb can use that. 2 touchdowns is not a lot in an NFL game, I don't think, for what he's playing at and for what Ben Johnson likes to do. I like the value of it at plus 118 is ridiculous to me. So,
yeah, great call. That made a lot of sense. Let's wrap it up, man. Wrap it up with a championship game because we got a good string of football this weekend, and then Monday night we have the championship game, Miami and Indiana. Now, my cap for this game is pretty simple here, Cade. I will fully admit I've been betting against Indiana, and they've been making me cry. Like, they are just ridiculous. So maybe it's a don't think about it too much and just play Indiana to roll once again. Now, the line has moved toward Indiana. Indiana opened mostly -7s. They are now all the way up to -8.5, and they are a very public play. Like, this is one of those plays where out of principle, I have to go with Miami because if you look at the splits right now, DraftKings 77% of spread bets are on Indiana. Indiana, I must admit, had some really sharp money. It looks like -7 hammered up to -8.5. But what was notable to me is I saw one book get up to 9, Cade, and immediately come back down to 8.5. And now you're starting to see today in the last 24 hours, some of these 8.5s, the juice even out. And maybe, not a guarantee, but maybe creep their way back down to 8. That's kind of the direction that the juice is going. So I couldn't get a 9, but I'm going Miami plus 8.5. Again, I'll go down swinging. I fully admit the public has had as Pedro said to the Yankees, I'll tip my cap, call the public my daddy, call the Yankees my daddy. Maybe that's just the way it's going to go. But if you give me a championship game with a super contrarian, unpopular team, Miami, only getting 23% of bets, and an inflated line. Like, again, odds makers said this should be about a 7-point game. Now you're getting 8.5 just to go against the masses. I'll take that inflated dog. We do have 2 recommended plays, Miami plus 2.9, Miami plus 4.2. That's a pretty big difference between the 8.5 that is currently in the market. So I'll fade everybody across America and go Miami plus 8.5. Cade, what are your thoughts on this one? Do you agree, or is it, man, this team is rolled and the line is moving toward Indiana? So how do you approach this one?
All right. I'll go with like 3 key points and then break down like statistically. So I'll just start out with the statistics of this one, just because it's all over the place on every single aspect. Indiana, number 1 in EPA on offense. They are number 4 EPA on defense. They are top 5 in pretty much every single category on both sides of the ball. Miami, top 20 on offense, but top 10 on defense. Like they're I mean they kind of look neck and neck, but like really between these rankings, I know the number wise they're not like even, but they're decently neck and neck in terms of actual stats. In a more like a traditional or old fashioned kind of standpoint, you are looking at Indiana that chunks almost 7 yards of play, and Indiana who is at 6, or sorry, Miami who is at 6, and you have a lot of God. This is so hard to handicap because again, we've both gotten burnt on Indiana. No matter how much I dug into the Alabama game, into the Oregon game, it's over after the first quarter. Like I'm just drowning in it at this point. But the only thing that's like weirding me out, like Miami's taken 3 teams and they have gotten the best shot pretty much out of like all of those 3 teams. And you have those teams being Notre Dame, you have those teams being SMU, and you have them being Louisville earlier in the year, which 2 of those 3 they did lose. And Notre Dame, on the other hand, pretty much they almost gave that game pretty much back to them. Now, Indiana, they beat an Alabama team that pretty much looked dead from the jump. A lot of people didn't really think they should have been in. And then you have an Oregon team that pretty much felt overrated all year long, according to the public media and whatnot. I loved them personally, but it is what it is. You look at like the current Hurricanes and what they're sitting in. I love the offensive coordinator that they have in Shannon Dawson. And the thing is, like, if Indiana does win this game and blows them out, by all means, I'll hold my hand up again. But like, the line is just there's too much going into this where you have a home field advantage. Technically, this game is in Miami. After all, I think a lot of people are pretty much forgetting that nobody has ever played a national championship in their home stadium. Like Georgia and Mercedes-Benz, it's not a home game. Is it pretty close? It is pretty close, but nonetheless, if you have to, I think this is going to start for Miami's case. It's in the trenches, no doubt. And that is pretty much getting to Fernando, and that is limiting the rushing game. They have had one close call the entire year where they didn't really run the ball well, and that was against Ohio State. They cut into the Indiana's rushing game so well, where they had 2 explosive plays on all of their attempts out of everything, and 7 successful rushes of those 31 carries, where successful meaning 4+. That's it. 7 out of 31 is night and day, very night and day. Out of decent rate, 22.6%, you are way less than their full season rushing success rate of 54.2. Limit the run game, you pretty much have a very good shot of winning the game. Arguably, Ohio State should have won the game if they just made the kick, but now we're here. Looking at Miami's side, this is why I love this so much. Miami is the number 7 rushing defense in the country, 35.4 success rate allowed. And that's coming from a good friend, Parker Fleming, who holds like all this data in a website, who's really good at stuff like that. I love looking at his stuff before this and then putting it into the models and stuff like that. But I've said it from the very first round, like defensive line, NFL talent scattered everywhere. I like everything about it is phenomenal. Like they are elite as it gets. Like it's just the defense. I don't know. If Mendoza gets the ball out of his hands in a hurry, fantastic, but like he is, I don't want to say bad. It's not very great whenever he is rushed or in a hurry, I should say. And like Hurricanes, they only sacked Trinidad Chambliss one time. But like I said, they got to the quarterback though. He was running around like a chicken with his head cut off the entire game. That forced a lot. If you watched the game, you remember Miami dropped like 5 interceptions in that game. Like it shouldn't have been as close as it was, honestly. But here's the thing again, Penn State, they were the only team to run more than 32 times against Indiana. and it was the only team to gain more than 100 yards, and they almost won. So Miami has rushed 32 times or more in every single game except for 4 of them. I'm riding with my futures ticket. I'm taking them on the money line. I'm taking them on the spread. I'm not hedging out of it. I got Miami, and I got them outright, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong this time. I'm not going to like try to toot or whatever like that because I'm done with it. I'm tired of this team killing me. But that's where I stand with it. Just got to get on my knees for this game and just one time, just please hit this futures ticket and take us home, please, to close this out on such a great season. But yeah.
Yeah, man, you're sitting pretty right now. Obviously, you need him to come through, but holding a great ticket like that, good for you, man, for really prognosticating Mr. Nostradamus over here, getting a great number way early. And I like the point you made about the home field advantage because a lot of things that I'm hearing, it's like Fernando Mendoza homecoming. It's like, oh, that is true. He's a Miami kid. But literally Miami, this is their home. The whole team is their hometown.
There.
So
yeah,
you got to imagine the crowd. I mean, I don't know if that's going to play a factor, but you would have to assume at least that you're going to have a lot of pro Miami Hurricanes, people in the crowd. Maybe that's a little bonus. You can play the underdog role. And again, this is a team that has won undefeated. Like these are the teams that like to fade, like not a total apples to apples, but like, last night in Crossing Sports, college basketball, Texas going up against Vandy. Vandy was undefeated. I like betting against undefeated teams just because they're so overvalued. Like people love them. The night before, Iowa State was at Kansas in college hoops. Public was all over Iowa State. Line was going to Kansas. So this to me, I'm not going to call it a sharp play on the Hurricanes because I must respect that the line did move 7 up to 8.5 toward Indiana. But it is just a classic Hall of Fame contrarian play to bet against the public. And it is a little sharp because Rithmm is saying it should be 2.9, 4.2. So let's go you. And for you, my friend, I hope you hit that futures ticket. Real quick, any love for the over? It did dip a little bit. I noticed like 48, 47.5, 47. But, the topic of this live stream has been discrepancies. Rhythm's predicting 56 points. And that is, what is that? 8, pretty big difference there between the current price. Indiana, they've gone over this number by themselves a couple times this year, a few times. The U does play pretty good defense, but they just went 31-27 against Ole Miss. So I don't hate this over. I like the discrepancy. If I look at the splits, Cade, one thing that worries me a little bit is like 80% of bets are also going over, and it did dip a little bit. So who knows? But any thoughts on this total? Gotta respect that Rithmm has a big split recommending the over.
I have a feeling that I haven't looked at the splits on this one, but national championship game is like the lone game on Monday night. Like is the public on the over?
Yeah, right now DraftKings 79% of bets on the over.
Oh wow. I don't know. I typically for games like Super Bowl, just high like big eyes on the game. I try to stay away from the total so much just because obviously everybody wants it to be entertaining. They want to root for points the entire time. It's really hard to take either side for me personally in this, even though the model's picking up over almost 10 points, which is nuts. I don't think we've ever seen the discrepancy that high.
Yep.
I just think it's a matter of like hitting explosives because Miami, they let up some kind of holes on Ole Miss's side. They hit a couple explosive plays. You had the run play that they went for. There was one pass that went for about 50 to 60 yards or whatnot. In Indiana, even then, they hit a couple of ones on Alabama, and then they had a couple of really good runs on Oregon. It's both offenses are capable of putting up points. It's just a matter of like the defenses, man. These defenses are so good. I can't fathom there being that many points in this game, but like then again, I very much so could, honestly, because like somebody's going to hit an explosive at some point, and it's going to be the turntables. Somebody's going to make a turnover. Like I think that's the matter of it is basically forcing teams to make a turnover because Indiana, they don't screw up, but Miami forces them. So I mean, if you're butting heads there, I mean Miami's probably got the best shot to make a turnover. I mean, you have a veteran quarterback, you have a veteran mindset. I mean, you're thinking that your offense has to keep up with their offense because their offense has been great. So, I mean, you might very well end up with a shootout in this case. For the public side of it, though, I think I'm just going to lay off and just play with the side here personally. So
I'm right there with you. 80% on the over, and I'm going to be with the public going over. If they cash it, I'll salute them and I'll salute Rithmm, but I'm going to have to lay off that one, I think. But Kate, we did it, man. Did the national championship game, did all the NFL playoff games. Excited to do another live stream with you next week. We'll be able to talk about the AFC NFC championship game, so that'll be fun. But just want to thank everyone, as always, for tuning in, for supporting Rithmm, for downloading Rithmm and recommending it to your friends. Kate, any final thoughts here? We got another big weekend ahead. And at some point, as football winds down, me and you can talk some college basketball, which I know we both love. Just a reminder that Rithmm is going to give you all those predictions. We focus on football because that's what's big right now and biggest sport overall. But Rithmm's got all these other sports for you too. So looking forward to the March to March Madness, which isn't too far off, believe it or not. But take us home, Kate. Any final thoughts here?
No, yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Another big weekend, playoff football all around. Starts on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, your recliner's meeting up with me again. I know we're gonna have a nice long session on these next couple of days here, so I'm ready for it. But yeah, it's been a heck of a year, man. I'm ready to close it out on a bang with these playoff games, and hopefully we get some good ones this weekend.
Well said, my man. Take it easy. Take your medicine for your ear infection, man, and give us some Michael Jordan flu winners here this weekend. Hopefully that's the goal.
I'm shooting for it. We'll see.
All right, man. Well, great job. Thank you all for tuning in. Reminder, download Rithmm, recommend it to a friend, and good luck. Hope everyone has a fantastic NFL divisional round weekend and a great championship game on Monday. Take care, everybody.